Good morning and welcome to our Friday Assembly. We would like to recognize and acknowledge the Songhees and Esquimalt nations for whose traditional lands we live, work, play, and learn. Please stand for O Canada in the school song. Now cover your ears because it's time for Friday Morning Online!
Hi, Shea. What is your favorite thing about Victoria?
Hi Hudson. My favorite thing about Victoria has to be all of the nature. I love the ocean and the marine animals, and I also love the big giant trees we have here to go hiking in the forests and the beautiful mountains in the distance. So that's some of my favorite things about Victoria.
Mr. Shea, do you have any pets?
Do actually, Kieran and Ellie. I have a big dog named Journey. He is part golden retriever and part Akbash, and he's about 120 pounds. So we call him our gentle giant, and he's 11 years old. So we've had him a long time and really love him.
What's your favorite color?
Hi Maggie. My favorite color is purple. Hi Sawyer, what's your question?
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is actually a dessert, and it is mint chocolate chip ice cream. That's my favorite.
Is it hard being a principal?
Hi Sephora, that's a good question. Sometimes it is hard to be a principal because I have to make decisions that sometimes people don't like. But all of my decisions, I have to take into consideration the students, what's best for them, and the mission of the school. And so that's why sometimes it is hard. But you know what? I love it.
What kind of books do you like, Miss Shea?
Hi Violet, I love all kinds of books. I actually really love to read, but in particular, I think I like mysteries because I like trying to problem solve and figure it out as I'm reading the story.
Mrs. Shea, are you allergic to anything?
Hi Reed. Yes, I actually am. I'm allergic to shellfish. So that means I can't have things like lobster or clams or shrimp, things like that. And I love cats, but I'm allergic to cats because they make me sneeze. So those are some things I'm allergic to.
Did you think about going to another school, like when you came here? Like think about going, like working in another
Somewhere else? So thank you for that question, Lucy. So before I came to GNS, I worked at a school in Belleville, Ontario called Albert College. But when I was applying for a new job, I actually only applied to come to Glenlyon Norfolk School. And I was the lucky person who got this job, and so I think it was meant to be. So I only applied to GNS.
Did you camp across Canada?
Hi Charlie. Well, we drove all the way across Canada from Ontario, and it took us about 13 days. And about 10 years ago, I made the same trip, but I camped, and it was a lot of fun camping when I did it the first time.
Cool. Have you ever had a job, a different job?
Hi Victor. Yes, I used to teach grade 4 for about, oh my goodness, I did that for a long time. And before that, another job I had, which you might find is interesting, is that I used to help put boats through a lock system. So it was on a river, and the boats would come into this lock area. We would shut the doors, we would open some valves, the water would come up, and then it would be the same level as where they wanted to exit. And then we'd open up another set of gates, and the boat would go through to kind of get up the waterway. So that was a lot of fun. That was at the Trent Severn in Ontario. And Connor, did you have a question for me?
Do you like being the principal?
Connor, I love being the principal.
Is there a certain reason, like why?
Sure. I love being the principal because I love working with students like all of you. And I love being able to visit the classrooms and to help have a really bigger picture of the whole school. And we've got a fantastic group of students here and an amazing staff. So yes, I do love working.
Thank you. You're fantastic.
You're welcome. Noah, what's your question?
What learner attribute do you think you are the most?
That is a hard question, Noah, because there's a lot of amazing attributes. I think one of my favorites that I feel really strong about is the caring piece, because I think it's really important to show kindness to people whenever you can. And so that's what I love to do. Is that yours too?
Yeah, one of them.
One of them?
I've got two of them.
You do. Wonderful.
When you saw GNS for the first time, what did you think of it?
Hi, Decca. Well, when I saw GNS for the first time, I actually fell in love with it, because when I came here, all of the children were out on the beach playing, and I just thought what a wonderful thing that would be for children to be able to have recess and learn in such a wonderful place. And then on the inside, all of the teachers and all of the students were just so friendly and happy to be there. I thought, I want to be there too.
Miss Shea, what is your favorite co-curricular?
Hi, Tyler. My favorite co-curricular would have to be musical theater. I love drama and I love singing, and so when you put those two things together, that makes it my favorite.
Hi, Mrs. Shea. What's your favorite subject in school?
Hi, Liam. I love a lot of subjects at school, but when I was your age, my favorite subject was language arts, because I love to read and I love to write stories from my imagination. So those are my favorite subjects in school. What about you, Xavier? What was your question?
What are you most excited for in this school year?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many things, because everything is really new to me this year at GNS, and so I don't know what to expect. But I'm really looking forward to all those chances where I can see you guys having fun in your classrooms and really having that learning come alive. That's what I'm looking forward to. And you're grade 5, so for your class in particular, I can't wait to see your exhibition and what you come up with this year.
I would say, why did you decide to become a principal in the first place?
I decided to become a principal because I love working with lots of students, and I love working with the teachers, and I love working with the parents. So by becoming a principal, I get to work with more than one classroom, and I also love coming up with ideas to help to make school better.
Cool. Okay.
Thanks.
Amy,
what was your question?
how do you plan to make GNS a better place?
That's a hard question, Amy, but it's a great question. Because GNS is really pretty darn special and great to begin with, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think for this year, one of the things I want to do is just really get a chance to talk to the students in particular and find out what your ideas are and how we can make some of those ideas happen. So it's just
No uniforms?
no uniforms. I'll have to think about that one. But it's a great question. Thank you.
Wasn't born a hero, just doing what I have to. Saw the need lead and let it take the lead in me. Now the first steps seem so much simpler than the last ones before me now. Run, though the road it narrows, you won't find me anywhere else till it's done. Run, one foot in front of the other, for it could mean tomorrow for someone. Run. Though I stumble through the Bay of Thunder, where we ended up is so far from there now. I believed it because I had to, nothing to go back to, no way, no how. Run, though the road it narrows, you won't find me anywhere else.
I'm going to do my very best to make it. I'm not going to give up, and that's true. But I might not make it, and if I don't make it, the marathon of hope better continue.
Run, though the road it narrows.
Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here!
Terry Fox lives here.
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 Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox at BTC. Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here! Terry Fox lives here!
Terry Fox lives here.
Terry Fox lives here!
Terry Fox lives all around. All around.
Terry Fox does live here.
This afternoon at 2:45 in St. John's Harbor, Terry Fox dipped his foot into the waters of the Atlantic Ocean.
When Terry Fox was 18 years old, doctors discovered cancer in his right leg. It would change his life and change Canada forever.
And one morning I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. That day they told me I had a malignant tumor and that I had to have my leg amputated in 4 days. And I decided after my year and a half of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada and raise as much money as I could.
When he first started the run across Canada at the age of 21, almost no one noticed. He ran alone, 42 kilometers a day, a full marathon on one leg, every day of the week.
He endured every type of weather in Newfoundland. There was rain, sleet, and snow. Because he was running westward, Terry was often running directly into the wind. Terry loved the early morning, so he would often get up at 4 a.m. anyways and start running and get a few miles in, stop for breakfast, and then he would finish the rest of his miles off.
His best friend, Doug Allward, trailed in a van behind him. He ran from Newfoundland towards his hometown of Vancouver, where he planned to finish the run and pour water he collected from the Atlantic into the Pacific, symbolically uniting our country.
The prosthetic that Terry had was actually a walking leg. Back in the 1980s, people didn't run on prosthetic legs. Running on his prosthetic leg was incredibly painful for Terry. His stump would chafe and bleed.
I don't run a normal technique. I have to take an extra off my real leg in order to have time for my artificial leg to come through.
He set many goals for himself, and he had to work incredibly hard to achieve them.
When I'm running each day, I take one day at a time. When I'm running, I take 1 mile at a time, and I take 1 corner at a time. Every signpost, I'm looking at it and reaching out for that signpost. Every corner, I'm reaching out, and this is the type of thing I'm thinking of when I'm running.
The night before Terry's operation, I visited Terry. It was just him and me in his hospital room, and all I could think of saying to Terry at the time was, "Terry, why do you have to have cancer? Why not me? Why not somebody else? Why you?" And Terry's answer immediately was, "Why not me, Fred? I've been told all my life I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest or the smartest. This is just another challenge I have to overcome."
Terry's determination began to pay off. People began to take notice. When running through a town of 10,000 people, he raised $10,000, $1 for every person. He changed his goal of raising $1 million for cancer research to $24 million, $1 for every Canadian.
So when Terry was in hospital, one of the nurses thought that it would be better for him to be placed in the children's ward. He was surrounded by kids who were suffering from cancer as well. Those are the faces that he never forgot.
I'm crying now because there's somebody here right now who is going through the same thing that I went through. Exact same thing, and he's only 10 years old. And I had the most inspirational day of my life today.
At the time of Terry's diagnosis, his chance of survival was around 50%. Had Terry been diagnosed a few short years earlier, he would have been faced with a 30 or 35% chance of survival. It was right there that Terry learned the importance of cancer research and raising money to find a cure for cancer.
You know, sometimes I have to run in a lot of pain and I get pretty tired. But I don't feel any pain when I get support like this, so you're fabulous, and I'd just like to thank you for that.
The support kept growing. News media across Canada began to cover Terry Fox's Marathon of Hope with daily updates of where he was. From stadiums to city centres in the heart of Canada, thousands went out to meet him, and donations towards cancer research began to pour in.
Terry wasn't running across Canada to become famous or to become rich. He wanted to make a difference in other people's lives.
There was absolutely no question that this was some iconic event that was happening. Talking about cancer publicly was something that really wasn't done very much. He made it okay to talk about cancer. And that was the first most important step to then allow the rest of the population to do what needed to be done to start thinking of raising funds for cancer research.
Researchers across Canada have devoted their lives to learning what cancer is and how to cure it.
We have lots of cells in our body, and what happens with cancer cells is they forget to grow up. They just start dividing and making more and more of themselves and become a huge lump. And that lump essentially is cancer.
Today, thousands of schools across Canada raise money for cancer research by participating in the Terry Fox Run.
When I say Terry, you say Terry! Terry!
I'm a cancer survivor of the same cancer that Terry had, called osteosarcoma.
My dad and I were about to go out fishing when he noticed one of my shoulder blades was visibly much larger than the other. That was the night that they told me that I had a form of bone cancer in my right shoulder blade. Terry said that I remember promising myself if I should survive, then I'll prove myself deserving of life. And that was something that I carried into my own journey.
More money equals more research. More research equals more hope. There are so many other Canadians who are dealing with their own battles in cancer, and that's why we need to fundraise to help those people.
There were a couple of nights where I had woken up feeling pain in my hip. My mom took me to the family doctor after school one day. They transferred us to sick kids where they found out that I had leukemia.
One of the most common child cancers is called leukemia, which is a cancer of the white blood cells, the cells that fight infections. Around the time that I was born, only 2% of children with leukemia survived, and now over 90% do.
I started to feel better actually pretty soon. It was only like a year later that I started going back to hockey and running around.
Terry had a dream of running from one end of Canada to the other. He took a long and winding route through the country and had run over 5,000 kilometers. He was just east of Thunder Bay, Ontario, when things started to change.
Terry knew earlier on that something was wrong. It was very rare for him to want to go and see a doctor. So when they stopped in Thunder Bay, everybody knew that something very serious was happening.
I had noticed a little bit of hardness in breathing. Near the end of the day, 18 miles, I was coughing and choking and had pain in my neck and my chest. And I did 3 more miles and I decided I had to go see a doctor. And it was discovered then that originally I had primary cancer in my knee 3.5 years ago. And that the cancer had spread. And now I've got cancer in my lungs. And we got to go home and try and do some more treatment. But all I can say is if there's any way I can get out there again and finish it, I will.
Terry had to stop the run and fly home to Vancouver to undergo more cancer treatment. At 22 years old, Terry became the youngest person ever to be awarded the Order of Canada, an award that recognizes outstanding achievement and dedication to the service of our country.
Terry Fox's courage in embarking on the Marathon of Hope has won him the admiration and affection of Canadians from coast to coast.
9 months later, he would pass away in the hospital.
I've said to people before that I'm going to do my very best to make it. I'm not going to give up, and that's true. But I might not make it, and if I don't make it, the Marathon of Hope better continue.
Terry reached his goal of raising $24 million. In honor of his legacy, the Terry Fox Foundation was born, with a mission to fundraise for cancer research to ultimately find a cure.
What is the future looking like? Very bright, I would say. I know researchers are getting closer and closer every day to hopefully one day find that ultimate cure.
80% of the children that I treat are cured of cancer. And until this 80% becomes 100%, we will have not achieved what we need to. And that is what cancer research will help us accomplish.
Mr. Bowers, do you have any announcements?
Hi, we are the 2021 Student Vote Team.
We are here to tell you about the federal election and the Beach Drive Student Vote.
Canada is having a federal election on September 20th.
In a federal election, Canadian citizens elect their members of parliament to represent their community's ideas in Ottawa, Canada, our capital city.
Canada is constitutional monetary and permanent democracy founded on the rule of law and respect for rights and freedoms.
In a democracy, the citizens have a say in how the government is run.
The elected members get their ideas from the Canadian people.
In Canada, Canadian citizens 18 or older who can prove their identity and address can vote in the federal election.
At our school, we are going to have a vote too. It is a mock or pretend election called Student Vote.
We are not old enough to vote yet, so this mock election is for fun.
Student Vote helps us learn about voting and elections, so we have a job for you.
In the next few days, look around your communities to see who's running in your community.
Listen to what these candidates are saying and ask questions. Learn about who is running in your community and see who you would vote